some witty-ish banter because that's what we do. Insert funny banter here. And I mean, this is all funny and hilarious and very natural sounding, right? Right. Because we are podcasters.
Meh.
For better or for worse. I have like no games to talk about. It's gonna be a great show.
Yeah. All I have is like pre-sequel and some Division. That's it. It's gonna be rough.
You know what? What does it matter? What does it matter? Let's just freestyle this. We can do this. You and me, Moose. Tag team back again, right?
That's right.
That's right. Okay. I forgot what I was gonna use. Hang on. I'm like tired from dinner now. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Every day I get up and pray to Jah, and he increases the number of clocks by exactly 1. Everybody's coming home for lunch these days. Last night there were skinheads on my lawn. Take the skinheads bowling. Take them bowling. Welcome to Nerds Gone Rogue. This is episode 144. My name is Matthew Keel. I am at Infinite_Rewind everywhere you could possibly imagine. Alongside me tonight, not Corey, not Captain Canada. I've got Sven with me, though. Moose, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
Good to hear. Freshly, speaking of skinheads.
Well, this is actually weekend, I think I did it.
Yeah.
Maybe, or last week. I don't know. Maybe it was Friday. It was maybe Thursday night. I just got tired of the hair, so I was like,
I get tired of mine too. Unfortunately, I have enough scars on my head that if I shave it, it looks weird. But you can find him at Sven everywhere. He also hosts Nerds Gone Platinum, our Sony affiliate, our Sony focused show. Affiliated, yeah, because I was thinking Twitch affiliate because you're that also, and like I
try.
Wires get crossed, and because I'm a professional podcast host, it happens. And if you've not been here before, welcome. We're happy to have you. We are here live on YouTube every Monday night. About 8, we usually try and start between 8:30 and 9. We were in that window tonight, which is, I love it when a plan comes together. You can find us at youtube.com/NGR Radio. Our website, nerdsgonerogue.com. That's where you can find everything else we do. Moose's Nerds Gone Platinum, our NGR Radio B-Sides, Arsenal X, Nintendo PAL Block. Got a lot of good stuff there. You could find me pressing a fart button for 38 seconds because that's fun. You can also find this particular show on Spotify and iHeartRadio and every podcast service you might want to use every Monday or the following Monday at 7 a.m. And then if you ever want to hit us up outside the show, as I said, I'm Infinite_Rewind on Twitter. Moose is at Sven, SVHENN. Our fearless leader, Corey, is at Corey in HD 713. Captain Canada, he ain't on Twitter. He's only here. So sorry, everyone. Of course, you can also email us at ngrradiopodcast@gmail.com. We answer listener questions every single show that people send them in, which for a while now, it's been every show. So I'd like to keep that streak going. We are also giving away Rage 2. That'll happen. Let's see. It is the 6th today.
Next week.
It is the 6th today. And it comes out next Tuesday. So it is May 13th. And what you need to do is you need to subscribe to either the show on YouTube or on any podcast service, you need to photo capture that subscription, email it to ngrradiopodcast@gmail.com, and tell us how you found us, why you like us, why you're sticking around, and we'd love to continue the conversation with you. The winners will be announced next Monday night. That is May 13th. It will be announced live on the air, and of course, we'll also announce it on the podcast the next week, because that's how we do it. I think that's everything. I don't know if there's anything new, and I'm having a hard time finding it in the Facebook chat that Corey sends us. So, so this is why I didn't want to do it last week, because I'm like, it'll take me too long. But I think that's. Oh, you can also find us streaming twitch.tv/nerdsgonerogue, and then I believe our individual handles are Twitter handles as well. Except for, is Corey in HD on Twitch? I forget. It's not listed here.
I don't think so. I think he's the. I'll look it up. Give me a second.
That's fine. But yeah, so engage with us, talk with us, and if you could, on whatever podcast service you might use, leave us a review. I'll ask for the 5 stars. If you don't feel like 5 stars, you know what, you do you on that one. But if you're going to actually write out a review, just write out the weirdest review you could think of, whether or not it actually applies to whatever rating you might give us, just because I think that would be funny. I just think that would be hilarious, because I know that like iTunes doesn't parse any of that stuff out. They only go by the star rating. The star rating helps with discoverability. So if you want us to be discovered, that's up to you. But I also like the idea of someone giving us a 5-star review and then basically turning in the script for Eraserhead as its review. I think that would be hilarious. But yeah, so that's the intro. Moose, how you doing? You have a good weekend?
I did have a good weekend.
Cool.
Took the niece and nephew to the zoo down in South Carolina.
Nice.
Which was nice. Saw a lot of cool animals. Some sea lions, some penguins, bears, lions, tigers. Oh my. The aquarium was quite fun going through the aquarium. There was an alligator snapping turtle, which was pretty badass. Like, that was crazy.
That is the weirdest Pokemon ever.
Yeah. This thing was huge.
An alligator snapping turtle? Like, is that what it's called?
It's legit what it's called. Dude, you need to look up an image of that. They're in Red Dead Redemption 2.
No shit.
Yeah, and no, they look like turtles, but like their faces are a little more pointier, and they have some vicious like jaws on them. And then they also have a long tail that comes out. Not a super long tail, but they've got a significantly longer tail coming out the backside, and their shell is like spiky-ish. Like, instead of it just being like kind of rounded like a normal turtle,
right?
Bumps on it, they come to like kind of like an edge, or an edge is what I was trying to say.
They're studded.
Yeah, but they're pretty badass, and it was pretty big. Awesome. I don't want to say like maybe 2.5 feet by 3 feet.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and he was just hanging out in the water. The picture I took, I'd send you the picture I took of him, but there's a terrible glare on the window, and all you see is my fat ass. So I was like, that's not
so I'm just gonna screenshot your face and be like, this is an alligator snap.
Yeah. But so we did that Saturday, and then
was it with sunglasses or without sunglasses?
No, I didn't have sunglasses. I wasn't. We were inside, so
was it a Hope County alligator snapping turtle?
And then Sunday was my youngest brother's birthday, so we celebrated that and just hung out. And it was a good weekend. How about you, man? Did you have a good weekend?
I had a weird weekend. It was another weekend of sleep for me, which is always a good time. like I got off work at 8 a.m. on Saturday, got home relatively quickly because the buses were on time for once, which is weird.
Okay.
It doesn't really happen on Saturday. And yes, I like public transportation.
There's nothing wrong with public transportation.
Just in case there are people that don't have access to it that think it's like a. I grew up in the Midwest and where we didn't have public transportation, and I used to hear people talking about riding buses. I'm like, I mean, I was this person that thought people who took public transit were like, you know, what are you doing with your life? Get a car.
Okay.
But then I came here and I'm like, fuck, I don't want a car.
You don't need the hassle of
like I don't and it's just like I work with people who like refuse to take public transit, and I'm like, man, I love public transit. And they're like, why? I go, because I can get into a thing that will take me to where I work, and I don't have to think about it. I can read, I could play my Switch, I could just shut the fuck off for a while. And it's really nice. But I got home and Reba said, she's like, I would like to hang out tonight. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed now then.
Good night.
So I went to bed. Because my problem, one of my flaws as a human is I can barely control when I sleep or when I wake. And this was a problem in my movie going days, because it didn't matter how excited I was to see a movie, and it didn't matter how loud that movie was, I would sleep. Like I can't keep myself awake if I need to. So I would be in the middle of a movie and just and you know, and whoever else would be like, dude, wake up. I'm like, oh, sorry. And then I'd be up for like 3 seconds, back to sleep. And it didn't matter if I liked the movie, hated the movie, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm tired. I will try and go to sleep. I did that. And then I slept till my alarm was set for 5. I woke up at 7. Reba's like, I'm hungry. I'm going to make dinner. I'm hungry, but I don't want to make dinner. I go, well, let's order something. I went back to sleep. I wake up, and apparently there's a falafel wrap downstairs waiting for me. So I go eat that, come right back up, and go right back to sleep.
Sounds like a life. Just eating, sleeping.
And while that was good, I woke up Sunday morning like at 6 a.m. and like we get up and we usually do brunch on Sundays, and I like felt really bad because she, said she wanted to hang out. So we decide we're going to do brunch after we do like a grocery shopping trip, which is fine. We get to the grocery shopping kind of late, and then we get to the point where both of us are so hungry that we're about to get angry with each other just for no reason.
Angry.
Yeah, and usually like that doesn't happen for me, but this time my stomach was empty to the point where I'm just like, I will gnaw my own goddamn arm off if I don't get food.
Yeah.
So we went to this place on Main Street in Manayunk, and a nice little aside to this, if I'm not already on a tangent, but whatever. She wanted this one particular thing at this place, and she asked the server about it, and he's like, well, we usually don't do that on our brunch menu. And she's like, and she like looked at me like all dejected. She's like, oh, it's such a bummer. I'm like, okay, all right, just give us a couple minutes. And gentleman he comes back like 3 minutes later, standard, server policy, I guess. Mm-hmm. Comes back and he says, apparently the chefs have already started warming up the ovens, so we'll be able to do that for you. Oh. And the happiness that washed over my partner's face was like that. You remember that Nintendo 64 video of the kid just losing his mind? She was one step below that. So she gets what she wants. She's really happy, and I got food, which is fine. And then we actually found on our grocery trip, we had found a beer that I don't see very often.
Ooh, what was that?
It was Founders KBS.
Ooh.
It is a Kentucky bourbon barrel aged stout.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of Founders as I don't like their all day IPA. I don't like a lot of what they do. But their dark beers are don't fuck with their dark beers because they are really good. Like you can have your opinions. We shared a bottle of KBS, and at a whopping 12.2% alcohol, it's kind of a miracle that I didn't fall asleep right after. But I didn't, and man, that's a good beer.
All right.
And then that was the weekend. Hi, honey.
Nice.
What do you say, Moose? Game time?
Yeah.
Game time. What?
You're not wearing any pants. That's what she's trying to
tell
you.
I am wearing pants. I don't know what
I know,
you
want.
Moose is trying to spin a narrative right now.
Yeah. There we go. Thank you.
Fine. It's
I
fine.
need to be a little more eloquent.
It's fine.
Trying to spin a narrative.
It's good. What? Will do. Yeah, gotcha. Thank you, though. I don't know how much longer I can stare at you and not look embarrassed. I'm sorry.
No. Turn around.
I don't want to.
Aww.
Aw. Thanks, hon.
That was the sound of Moose throwing up.
Oh, geez, now you're just being mean.
Is she flashing you?
No, she's not.
For the
Reba,
listeners at home,
Reba, I appreciate what you're doing, but it's just Moose and I. So if I leave him by himself, I don't know what's going to happen. And to be fair, if the situation were reversed, he would do the same. He's like, if I leave Matt here by himself, I don't know what's going to happen.
we might lose a show if either of us are left alone.
I'm just watching it.
I know. And for some reason, it's affecting me. I don't know why. She's like, I'm just watching you. I'm like, yeah, for some reason, it's just not working for me right now.
It's not.
Like it's really throwing me off.
You can go in the other room and watch me on the YouTube live.
Yeah, watch us on YouTube. Give us a viewer. Oh, are we in the chat? I'm not even in the chat.
I am in the chat.
Oh, is there anybody in there?
Yeah.
Tell them I said hi. Okay, so game time. We'll get there now. Have you been playing anything, Moose?
I've been playing some pre-sequel, trying to clean up the Borderlands pre-sequel, trying to clean up the Claptrap DLC.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm getting closer and closer to the end of that.
There was Claptrap DLC for the pre-sequel?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was the
wasn't there one for 1,
Holodome?
2?
Yeah, the Robo Revolution.
Okay.
Was in 1. And then in pre-sequel, you basically just go inside. You get shrunken and you go inside the Claptrap, and you have to try and find this specific coding that Handsome Jack's after. But anyways, so there was the Holodome, which is I want to say similar to the Underdome.
Okay.
And they did Claptrap, and I think there was supposed to be more DLC, but they scrapped it in lieu of working on Borderlands 3, which is fine. It's sad that the 2K Australia closed because they did. I feel they did a really good job on Borderlands pre-sequel. I think it gets a bad rap. I like the oxygen tank. So basically, it's like an oxygen tank, and it runs down like a timer. And when you run out, your health just starts ticking away. And so
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I also never played any of the Crackdown games, but I feel like the people who bitched about the pre-sequel, and the oxygen mechanic kind of loved the orbs in Crackdown.
Maybe.
I don't know. I always thought that was funny. Anyway, continue.
Well, the thing is, like, did you play the pre-sequel?
I played it. There was one time when I was living in my apartment that you and I played for a brief time, and I've not been back.
Yeah. It's so like the oxygen tank adds
but I most certainly will go back and probably platinum because I like that series.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna try and platinum it before Borderlands 3. But so like the oxygen tank adds a verticality, but it's also like in the beginning it's one more gauge to worry about, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you it's not that hard to manage it. Like there's spires along the ground that are oxygen. You just stand in them, fills up the O2 tank. When you kill somebody, they have a chance to drop an O2 tank, which recharges it. So like once you get past like level 3 or 4, like you're not even thinking about it anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So I've been playing that. So I like the verticality of it. Jeff's been playing it too, and he agrees. He also likes the fact that it's something different in the Borderlands series because we just played 1, and he's played Borderlands 2 like to completion like 3 or 4 times across all the platforms. Like he played it on PC, he played it on Xbox, and now he's playing it on PS4. And so he was like, it was nice to play a different Borderlands game. So we've been playing that. He jumped in, and so to take a break from 1, trying to clean up the trophies on Borderlands, the Game of the Year edition, I switched over to pre-sequel. But now I need to go back and finish up Borderlands 1 and just retire that and get that finished. And then
just take it out back, put a shovel in its head. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I think so. But other than that, playing a little bit of Bloodborne, because as people probably have heard me say multiple times, I've backed the Kickstarter board game. So it kind of makes me want to play it again. And so I've just been diving into that, having a good time with that. But that Kickstarter, it's going to be a death of me. It's going to be a death of me, man. It's just, but like
you know.
Here's the
you're barking up the wrong tree here, Moose.
Oh, I'm not gonna get because you're just as much of an addict as I am.
No. If I am a professional Kickstarter addict, you are a filthy casual because this is your first. I've backed 12 things, all to the tune of at least $100.
Yeah,
so
it's so. For those who aren't familiar with Kickstarter, and Matt can maybe fill it in a little bit later, but this is my first experience in it. And I could like expect this. You know, I was expecting this kind of experience. Okay, so they launched it the 23rd of April, and it's up until the 14th. So like 3 weeks, I think.
Yep, 7 days to go.
Yeah, so it's got 7 days to go. So they start out, here's the base game, and they're like, we're looking for $2,000. They are now sitting just below 2.7 million.
Yeah, they were looking for 200,000 actually.
They have well over 10 times the amount that they need. So you're a pledge to Kickstarter. As they hit certain goals in their funding, they do stretch goals. So like they've announced a Saw Cleaver Hunter. They've announced a Blades of Mercy Hunter.
Kirkhammer Hunter.
They've announced, the Kirkhammer Hunter comes with it. Actually, I think the Kirkhammer Hunter was if you just pre-ordered. Period. It's
a Kickstarter exclusive.
Yeah, that's what it was. I don't think it was a stretch goal. It was just a Kickstarter exclusive. And then they do the optional buys, which is like, hey, we're going to do, I think one of them is Yargul's Unseen Village. So you get a lot of the enemies from that area, and you also get the one reborn, if you can find them and fight them before dying, or, before the game ends. And then they did, I don't think it was Murgo's Loft.
No, they did do Murgo's Loft.
They did. That was a buyer's bonus.
The paths chosen up to this point have been the Ease Chalice,
Right.
Murgo's Loft, and then they haven't revealed the next one yet.
Well, no, I mean the optional buy-ins.
Oh,
I think Margot's Loft was like a stretch goal, or maybe it wasn't. It could be Murgo's Loft.
no, the optional buys right now are Forsaken Castle Canehurst,
Yes,
Bergenworth,
Bergenworth was it,
and Yargul Unseen Village.
So Murgo's Loft, it was
goddamn.
part of a stretch goal, and
These look so cool.
they were so badass. And when they're painted, like when they show the ones that look painted, I'm like, I need to find someone to paint these for me. But so they dropped Bergenworth. They dropped as an optional buy. They dropped Jarl's Unseen Village. I think those were both 40.
Bergenworth and Yargul are 40. Canehurst is 60.
Canehurst is 60. And so like what you do is you just go back to your pledge
and you add that
your pledge to the amount of what you want to add in. So you can be like, I want all of them. So you'll add that. What would that be? 80 add 60 would be, I can't do that.
140.
140. So you add 140 to whatever your initial pledge amount was. And I mean, you could pledge more than the amount they're asking for. So like when I pledged, it was $90 for the early pledge, the early bird. And then after like 48 hours, it was $100. So you just add that to it, and then that's what you pay. Now, for the way they're running it is, once the Kickstarter ends, you'll get an email, and you could go back into your pledge, and you can say, "This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want." This is as if like they have, let's say they had like 4 or 5 more optional buys, and they were stuff I didn't want. Like I could go in and be like, "I want Bergenworth. I want Jarl's Unseen Village, and I want Castle Canehurst. I don't want Nightmare Frontier." I would want it, but I'm just saying for the sake of argument that you could go in. It's not like once it closes, whatever amount you have is applied to like the first optional buys that came up. It's whatever you want to pick, and that I thought was pretty cool. We just unlocked PvP. I think Friday we unlocked it, which is nice. So there will be a PvP little box set that comes. So you'll be able to PvP from hunter to hunter. If I absolutely had to choose, I think I'd have no problem dropping Jarl's Unseen Village and Bergenworth to have just Castle Canehurst, Castle Canehurst. But I want all of them because I want ROM. If I had to lose one of them, I'd definitely get rid of Jarl's Unseen Village.
Yeah.
Like if I was like, I can't pay for all of it. Like I just want to. I would want the option to fight Ligarius, and then I also want the option to fight Rom. Like I think that would be a good fight in the board game. So, anyways,
I mean, I haven't looked at any of the videos on it, but I'll most likely be backing as well. But the thing to remember for people who might want to back but don't want to, they would rather back to the tune of 100 rather than 240. Remember that unless noted otherwise, the initial backing that you put in entitles you to the stretch goals.
Yeah. All stretch goals are covered.
And some people don't. Some might not understand this. But so, like when they say like, "Oh, Yharnam Pthumerian Queen is in there," you don't have to pay extra for that. That will come to you.
Yeah.
Now, I've wanted to back several Cool Many or Not pledges. I think last year about this time they did a board game Kickstarter, Cthulhu Death May Die.
Ooh.
And that was a cool as hell looking board game that was somewhat dungeon crawly, somewhat mystery, and it was in like the Cthulhu verse, which is however you want to describe that. It can be problematic, but Cool Many or Not, they run interesting board game Kickstarters. They have a crew of designers that seem to have really good ideas with regard to game design. The lead designer here, I'm not 100% familiar with, but the lead designer on Cthulhu Death May Die is also coded, like helping, like I think it's like the guy and then the guy that did Cthulhu Death May Die. And
Right.
the guy that did Cthulhu Death May Die, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting names at this point. I looked at a lot of his games at the time, and like all of them seem to have really cool mechanics. I doesn't mean I've had a chance to play any of them, but I think like just from an abstract point of view, I think they have really cool ideas in terms of game design. Now, what I would suggest if anybody wants to back this at this point, temper your expectations. The release date that they have there, I can almost guarantee you it won't happen. Not because these things are notoriously, not punctual. A lot of that depends on the volume they have to produce.
Mhm.
Now, this is well over 1,000% pledged. So they have to do 10 times as much as they originally wanted to, on top of all the stretch goals they've unlocked. Now, we could sit here and posit, well, they had all this planned, wasn't all this work done? Not necessarily.
No.
Everything you see in the Kickstarter is predominantly sketched, not actually sculpted.
Well, it's also like they had to be like, okay, people are gonna light this up.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodborne fans are gonna light this up like it has been. So they have to have certain goals. Okay, what are we gonna do at this stage? What are we gonna do here? What are we gonna do here? Like right now, we are working for the Keepers of the Old Lords.
Yeah.
So that's the next stretch goal at 2.7 million. So once we hit that, then we start working for the next one, know, and I agree. I think it was May 2020 is when it's supposed to come out. I wouldn't, if it hits that, it'd be a miracle, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Like you might get the main game by then, optimistically.
Yeah, which it doesn't. In the way 3D printers are working right now, like they might be able to 3D print it, pretty well. It depends on what material they're using. I think they're resin. So they'll have to go through a printing. They won't just 3D print this themselves. They'll go through a plant. Well, they're doing them in Europe.
Yeah.
So they're being done in Europe, and then or no, maybe it was China. I think whatchamacallit was Europe. Future Press's Sekiro book.
Yeah, that's Europe.
That's what was Europe. This is in China, and what's funny is it's shipping out of Atlanta for United States. So I shouldn't get mine too much after they actually hit stateside. But they've got 5 bosses in the base game. I mean, if you just look at the base game, even without getting the add-ons, even without the stretch goals, it's insane. It's insanely awesome. I mean, the 5 bosses are Vicar Amelia, you get the Cleric Beast, you get Father Gascoigne normal, you get Father Gascoigne transformed, and then you get the Bloodstarved Beast.
Yep.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good for a good time. And then you get 4 hunters, and then you get your mobs. You get 28 monsters that will be in your world as you're moving through. And actually, you'll get 5 hunters because you also get the Kirkhammer Hunter.
Yeah.
You get the Saw Cleaver, Threaded Cane, Ludwig's Holy Blade, and then the Hunter's Axe. So you get those 4, and then you get the Kirkhammer. So you get the 3 base starting game ones and the Kirkhammer and Ludwig, which those are actually all the ones I love. Those are my favorite weapons. The Threaded Cane, I love the Threaded Cane. I just wish it hit a little harder. So that's my only problem with that. And I need to play a build more often with the Ludwig's Holy Blade. I really enjoy that weapon.
Yeah, that weapon's really good.
I think, and I don't collect a lot of like video game stuff. Like I do like physical collections for the Switch as long as it comes with
Something.
like I just got the Multiverse for Axiom Verge. So it came with a soundtrack, came with like an art book, came with a map of the game. Jason picked up the special edition of Salt and Sanctuary for me. That comes with a map, that comes with the soundtrack. So like stuff like that where it's usable. You know what I mean? Like I'm not heavy into like the figurines. So I don't order a lot of figurine stuff. Like I know people who got the like special edition of Sekiro and got the little katana blade thing that sits on a display. I mean, that's pretty cool, but that's just not my style because I don't have a lot of room in my house and I have 3 dogs. So this is something that I'm like, I really want because I love Bloodborne, and this will give me the chance to like take it somewhere and possibly play with others. You know, like take it to a bar with my buddies and with my neighbor or my other friend who actually paints figurines. So there was a game on Kickstarter, like the whole thing I think was like $1,000 or something like that. His friend bought him and himself a copy for him to paint his friend's collection. He's like, if you paint my collection, he's like, I'll buy you the entire Kickstarter. I'll have to get the name of that game.
Wow.
But I was like, that's insane. And he does a really good job painting figures. And he's a really good artist as well. But so anyways, I was just like, that is freaking awesome. So I'm like, I might be like, hey, can I get you to paint my Bloodborne figurines? We can do a little bit at a time, but
yeah, no, that's when I got the Dark Souls board game, like I saw people were already painting like Smog or Smo and Ornstein, like how they look, and they painted like a lot of the bosses that came out, and I'm like, man, that's really cool, but also like the work that goes into that's not quick.
No.
I mean, and as someone who was super into Guild Ball, and well, I'm still super into Guild Ball. It's just I'll never ever actually have a chance to play it, which sucks.
Why not just?
Well, in order for me to get to where it's being played, it's like 40 minutes away. It's not really accessible by like the train or public transit, and then taking an Uber out there might be a bit beyond the pale. So
that's understandable.
So it's like I'm kind of stuck, watching games of it online. I was playing Vassal for a while, but then like it got to the point where people who were more interested in the meta and being ready for competitive tournaments wanted to play me, and I'm like, I'm not going to give you any of the training that you want. And they're like, and then of course everyone goes, well, I'll take an easy one. I go, yeah, but that doesn't help me. Like that doesn't help me get better at the game if you're just using every exploit against someone who knows nothing.
Yeah.
So I gracefully bowed out and realized that maybe it's not Guild Ball, maybe it's me. But like I would love to buy all those teams and I would love to paint all those teams. Unfortunately, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and I don't have the room in my hobby space. And by that I mean I don't have room for another hobby of that undertaking.
Because you have a pretty big one sitting behind you.
Well, there's that one, and then like there was a while where like I was actually pricing out like materials for starting to paint like the teams that I already have. But then like I said, you know what? I want to watch a movie, and I'm like, see, this is my problem. I'll want to do this instead of all that.
Yeah. Now just look at it and you'll go, that's a huge investment, and for you not to be able to play the game. Like,
and you don't have to pay to play. Like,
that's true.
At least like the people who run Guild Ball are pretty forthright about that. Like, hey, if you don't want to paint it, you can still come compete in a tournament. Yeah. Which I love that. I mean, now people who have been playing tabletop stuff since the 80s will hate that because they're like, well, I put in all this work. Well, see, no one's saying you did wrong. But there's some of us out here who are afraid of learning that, and also being afraid of being judged for being bad at it. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Why do we get to be excluded?
Right.
But like, and so like I for because you have access to someone who could probably do that for you. I hope you get it done. And just make sure you compensate it, because that's work. And also I was gonna tie this back to the Dark Souls game somehow. Anybody who might try to back Bloodborne, recognize this. When you get the game, the first thing you will get will be the actual game. That's all you're going to get, most likely, in that first shipment. I don't know how Cool Mini or not runs the back end of their Kickstarters. Like, I've seen enough front ends to it seems like they know what they're doing. But my guess is, if it's anything like what Steamforge did for Dark Souls, the first thing you'll get will be the actual game. And then their second wave stuff was all of the expansions, like Darkroot, Gaping Dragon, Four Kings. And the one I'm still waiting on is all of the stretch goals. So I haven't gotten my Solaire model. I haven't gotten any of the Invader models, any of the summon models,
Right.
any of the environmental models. None of those have come yet either. So I would expect something like that. Now, Dark Souls Kickstarter ended in 2016, I believe. And so we're 3 years later.
Mm-hmm.
I think their original pitch was like a year and a half after ending, which is fine. I was ready. I was like, you know what, that makes sense, because they don't know. I don't know what goes into making a board game.
Yeah, like we don't know what goes into making a video game.
But also, they were also pretty forthright in their emails, because they kept me updated. I mean, it's just like the way Koji Igarashi has done with Bloodstained. I mean, any Kickstarter I've backed has always been super forthright in saying, "Hey, this is where we're at. Hey, you haven't heard from us in a while. Here's what we've been up to."
Yeah.
In fact, the quickest turnaround for a Kickstarter that I've been involved with was Binding of Isaac, the board game or the card game. Like that turned around in 7 months, and I was shocked as shit that turned around. I mean, it was still late. I mean, because they said November, and then I got it in January. But still, like that was quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I will probably back that as soon as I finish bills for this month, depending on space in the wallet and whatnot. But yeah, I'm excited for that, and hopefully we can play at some point in the future. In fact, since if we both get it, we both have a game, we could probably stream it somehow, because we'll both have cameras to look at each other's game. We'll have to look at the mechanics and examine that.
We could do that. See, I was thinking that too, because I was like, man, I know some people I'd love to like play with, streaming and whatnot. But like the problem is trying to make sure you have the same tile set down. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so I pick a tile, I put mine down, and then you have to go through your stack and find yours. I mean, it might take a little bit more time, but it might not be as bad. But we're definitely playing it in person. But the first thing we are going to play in person is the freaking Bloodborne card game, because I have had that since I bought it I got it for like $20 on Amazon, and I've not played it yet. And it also has an expansion.
Don't you need 3 players to play it though?
Yes, you need 3 players to play it. Problem,
which is difficult. Yeah,
which is difficult to come by, and then like you're trying to like. I'm not trying to ask my brothers, hey, y'all want to play like this card game with me? And they're like, so it's like, all right, whatever. I don't even like ask. So it's like, I have it. And then I want to get the Old Hunters expansion that they have, which I think is 10, 15, maybe, I think. So, and then that obviously adds on top of it. But it's just, I want to play that, and I need to play that. And I think Jeff even has it. Jeff has it, and I think him and his son and one of his son's friends tried to play it or something one time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, and it might be something that like plays similar to the board game when the board game comes out. But I watched some of the videos of the guy who's I think the head designer on it. He did like a playthrough. He did like a 3-turn like playthrough of the game to show like how it was gonna play. And I was like, ooh, this could be cool. Like this could be a lot of fun, you know. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Like I've read through the Dark Souls like manual, like the board game manual a bunch of times, and I want to actually sit down and play that at some point, but I don't know. I hope so. Because I'm the only one here that's into it. Like everyone else looks at it like, no, man, that's a lot right there.
Yeah. Like you look at that manual and you're like, what?
No, they look at the box, they're like, man, that looks like a lot of game.
Yeah. I mean, like you open the box and it says you die.
Yeah, it does.
I bet you that's selling unsealed on like eBay for like a couple $1,000.
No, it won't because here's the thing: all of it wasn't just exclusive to Kickstarter. Like Steamforge is selling it on their website. Like that's the end goal for this. Like Cool Mini or Not will probably sell the Bloodborne game on their website. Yeah. Now, what folks like yourself have bought into is things like the Kirkhammer Hunter. Like you'll get that, and no one else will be able to get that ever. Like they won't like reprint that and have it come out. And it's a stupid thing, but I like that. Like, yeah. You know, because really, you know, and I think that matters a lot more than like video game pre-order bonuses, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, here's a thing that is in the game and it doesn't affect the game. It's just another way it's another character you can be that you have access to. Because you decided this was cool enough for you to opt in on early.
Agree.
But yeah, so you've been playing Bloodborne. We talked about the Bloodborne Kickstarter. Anything else?
You and I jumped into Division 2 tonight.
We did some Dark Zone missions,
which is a bit of fun.
It is.
I had a disc. So like after you got off, I went and chatted with the wife for a while because she came home from her pedicure. So we were talking about stuff.
Cool.
She had a good day at work, which was good. And then we were talking because we were both like, she's like, "Where's the box for the pizza?" I was like, "It's in the trash." And as soon as she asked where it was, I knew she was like trying to we're both trying to track our calories just to like work our diets that we're on. And so, anyway, so we were sitting there talking about stuff, and then I came back because Justin invited me to a party, and so he was on but not in the party, so I invited him and Jeff to a party, and Jeff came on, and we were talking about our co-op challenge and all that stuff. And I said, you and I need to play some Division this week. Like we need to work on the Dark Zone trophies. Like we need to level me up, like help you, you know, you can help me beat the game. Let's get that second stronghold done. You know, now that they fixed the scaling in the game, which is really nice. Like obviously we know that because we just played tonight and it was not painful at all.
Nope.
If I had any complaint, they went too far the opposite way. Like I felt you were a little too powerful.
Oh yeah, like, I ate through people.
Like, you were melting faces. And I'm like, not that I don't mind that this is fast, but it's like if there's a target you're aiming at, I don't even go for that target. I just go for another one off to the side. And usually you might turn and shoot him as I'm like at the end of like I'm reloading to get my second clip in to put like half that clip into that guy to kill him, and you just. So it was a lot of fun. Had a good time opening up the Dark Zone. I might actually go in and play the Dark Zone later this week. Like me and Jeff are gonna run through there, do that. I gotta do this, like I said, the second stronghold to open up the end game, the story content for the the game's playthrough. And then just start like you did, just start gearing up, start doing stuff to get levels and get to that tier 5 world. And
All the one strategy I would say is I see a lot of people paying attention to like gear sets.
Not this guy.
I think that's a for the way I play, I feel like that's a dumb thing to do. Mainly because like you will get it, like especially at my gear score, because I'm at 497. A lot of and I'm getting gear scores that for like the green gear sets, they dropped about 5 numbers below me, and I know there's a way to recalibrate them so they're higher, but like I don't have time to figure that out. Like it's
actually not that hard. But yeah.
I'm not saying it's difficult. I'm saying but like with the rate gear drops in that game, it makes almost all of it not matter. Because like I mean, if I'm doing in the world tiers, you have to go back and do the main missions, but they are invaded by Black Tusk now rather than the factions that were. And they're structured just a little bit differently in a way that's fun. And Black Tusk is a fun. It's more fun than the other factions because they're smarter.
Okay.
But like the amount of gear you get there, like I was looking at 2 things after level 30. Was the gear score higher, and were the talents what I wanted? I like for my first character, I focused a lot on skill power, which I think it worked in terms of being able to take down Roosevelt Island at the end. I also think that was also a bit of the chemistry between the team that I had with me and myself, because like the way I think it came down to like I was talking with some people overnight because I still use the flame turret. They're like, "Oh wow, you actually make people that you make the flame turret look great." And I said, I said, "Thank you." And they're like, "Well, because everyone says it's the best, and every time we try and use it, like it just ends up not helping us." I go, because you can't use it as a turret. You have to use it as a gate or a wall. And they're like, "What do you mean?" I go, "I don't throw it where the enemies are. I throw it where I don't want them to be."
Yeah. That's kind of what I did in the first one.
And if you put it out and it's pointing like let's say the enemies are right in front of me, I will put it out and fanning that way. So that way it'll keep them in front of me. So guess what? All they're doing is facing down the barrel of my gun at that point.
Right. And that's kind of like what I was doing when I was playing with Jeff and Jason with the flamethrower turret, because like I would be on the left side going into the room and they would be to my right. So I might move towards the middle of the room. Well, I'll throw the turret to the left so that nothing can flank us, because like 9 times out of 10, we're going to catch somebody coming across over to the right. Jason or Jeff's going to kill them, or I'm going to see them, spot them, start shooting them. They'll start shooting them and they're dead. Whereas in like, if we're looking like, in 2/3 of this side, we might miss somebody coming this way. So you put the turret out there. And then sometimes the turret's even hitting people that you're shooting at, just depending on how close they are to it. But like you said, it's definitely better as a deterrent to keep people from flanking you or moving, like you said, where you don't want them to be.
I mean, and then like, especially in the main game, those factions tend to be pretty stupid as far as I'm concerned. So if you like put your turret off to the side, there's going to be someone who tries to flank you on that side and walks into a fiery death. But
because like right now, I'm just using the bullet turret right now. I haven't tried the flamethrower just because I feel like you were saying I'd want to have a higher skill power. Like I'm like currently right now, until I beat the game, I'm not really concerned about gear sets. Like I
Mhm.
like gear sets match up. Or like I'll look at something,
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, I like that stat, I like this stat, I like, like, but I try to have no problem breaking sets,
Yeah.
especially if new gear like 3,000-4,000 armor or higher than what I'm using, because it's like, well, even if I get the third skill of like plus 15 to like, whatever, like your turret damage or whatever, maybe not that, but some kind of skill, you're like, well, but like an extra 4,000 armor is going to help me survive longer, and that's worth more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to do better than my turret does, but the turret is definitely better than the first game.
Yeah.
I yeah, it's definitely better than the first game, but it still could use some refinement. You know,
Mhm.
uh, I feel, we've talked about it with Captain Canada. Like I don't give a crap about resolution when it comes to next gen. Like we've talked about CPU power, and
Mhm.
I want smarter AI instead of hard mode or like the insane modes like in Wolfenstein 2. Instead of it just being like, oh well, the enemies have more health and deal more damage. Like I'd actually like them to be smarter.
Yeah.
Like their tactics change, and I feel like the turret is really cool because it'll pick a target and start shooting at targets. But what's nice is like if you guys got a target suppressed that it's focused on, you can hit either L1 or R1, whichever button you deploy it with, to like lock on a new target.
Mhm.
But I still feel like it's not quick enough that like if something's coming at you, like it doesn't have a good threat detection. Like it doesn't have a good threat detection to the point where like if something's moving towards you like really fast, like it doesn't like break away from the target it's on, even if you didn't assign it to that target, even if it's just free shooting at stuff and immediately go after that threat that's coming to you. So I
Yeah.
mean, it might be something the algorithm of designing the game and the enemies, you know what I mean? Like obviously, like I said, I don't know how game development works, but that would be something cool to see, like maybe in the Division 3, which there is more than likely going
Yeah.
to be a sequel.
I mean, I think that this sequel is probably further off
Well,
than the distance between 1 and 2, but like
yeah,
I'm still excited for the raid. Like
yeah.
I'm, I'm now one trophy away from the platinum, or no, 2 trophies away from the platinum. And once I get that platinum, I won't like delete it like I did the first one. I
Well,
will.
because we have a whole year load of content
Yeah.
that's included with the game, like you said, like raids. So there's going to be, I think, in fact, even on my birthday, there was like a new stronghold that dropped. There was like a whole bunch of content that came out
Yeah.
in
Tidal Basin came out on your birthday, I
yeah, I
think.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
April
World,
April 5th.
yeah. World
But
Tier 5. Yeah.
yeah, World Tier 5 came out. That's what it was. It
Mhm.
was that, and I could have swore it was a stronghold, but it might not have been. But anyway, so that if they did, I feel like they kind of missed their mark with the first one, but then
Mhm.
with the DLCs, they've kind of refined. Like they basically kind of moved the target. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
They refined the game, picked up on what gamers wanted, and they were able to maybe take like 2 steps further past where Division 1 was to provide Division 2. So like
Yeah.
Division 2 is definitely ahead of where I was expecting it to be. I just think obviously as they move along they can refine it. I still have an issue with the light and dark when we first started playing it. I think they need to add a tactical flashlight. Like you should be able to have, I mean, it's a tactical game. You should be able to have, you're a survivor. You should be able to have a flashlight hanging on the front and you just hit a button and boom, flashlight turns on and illuminates the dark areas. Now, obviously, if you're going to be lighting up dark areas and there's enemies in there, they're going to see that light. So it's, telltale that you're there.
Mhm.
So you got to be, like I said, tactical about it. But
Yep.
I think it's good so far. And I even said it when we were playing. Like I'm enjoying jumping back into it. Like I miss that I haven't been playing it, and that's why I told Jeff, I said we need to play this week, like
Yeah.
because this was our co-op challenge game, and then we all jumped ship when Borderlands came out. We all loved Borderlands and went after that platinum hardcore, and then we all just never went back to the division. I mean,
I think you and I have played more Division together than you and any of your Platinum co-hosts.
I think you're correct on that. I think you're right. Like Jeff and I played a little bit, but not as much as you and I have, because you and I have also had, like I said, the benefit of the they recalibrated the scaling when you join, because Matt he's like 5 world tiers above me.
World tiers ahead,
And your game, I don't even technically have a gamer score yet, because I haven't beaten the game. You don't really get your gamer score until you
specialize.
I haven't even specialized to any of that. But when Jeff and I were playing together, it was like a nightmare. Like, they were even harder. He was level 10 or 11 and I was 15. It was like we were fighting level 20s.
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous. So it deterred us from playing together. But now that it's rebalanced, I feel like we can jump in, play together more easily, and then also help Jason out, and other people play as well. Because you're not like, oh, well, you're level 20 and I'm level 25. Like, there's no point to that, So.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, like when you guys get around to doing like the missions on hard, like I'll hopefully I will be in a place where I can help, or at least a mission here or there, because I know like scheduling is difficult. But yeah, it's that game is really good. Like what I mean, and I don't remember if it was. I think the main statement around Division 1 is like, if this is like an Assassin's Creed 1, this is a very good Assassin's Creed 1. And I think that Division 2 has been like, I mean, my opinion on Assassin's Creed aside, except I do like the first one. Like, yeah, they've gone bigger and better in I would honestly say all the ways, because the Dark Zone now is something I'm more interested in doing, not just because like it's one of the last trophies I have, but it's fun to do by yourself. Like, you don't need someone watching your back, because there really aren't a lot of people going rogue, or like the people that are going rogue they're going rogue in like one of the dark zones only, rather than just trying to make everybody's day bad. If you go into the occupied dark zone, there's one out of the 3 dark zones, one of them is occupied, and that rotates daily. You can't become disavowed in that dark zone, so basically it's a free for all. People are just killing folks. If you get in there, if you firefight, like it becomes that, like you assault a landmark, you don't know who's on your side anymore, and that's like there's a good bit of tension in that, but also, like, if you worked really hard to get some gear, or especially contaminated stuff where you don't know what it is, like all you want to do is get that one piece of gear back. Like, luckily, once you start leveling up, you get Dark Zone perks, and you can there's a perk where you have a chance to retrieve at least one of your contaminated items on death. Which is nice.
That is nice.
So it kind of says, hey, it's not all for naught if people are just being griefers.
Right.
But yeah, the game is really good. Back to the fire turret, real quick. I do like that on how you can use it as like a wall, but also if you're ever in a corridor and there are people just coming down that corridor out, drop the fire turret. All of a sudden you have standing targets, because they're all sitting there going, oh my God, I'm a fire. And you're just like, oh great. You're also getting bullets in your face.
Yeah.
So how's that feel? Anything else?
No, that's been pretty much it. I need to get it. I played a little more Cuphead.
Mhm.
since the last time, but not enough to be like. I mean, I'm enjoying it thoroughly, and the game is beautiful. I like the story. The story is really cool. Kind of like I don't know. It's good, but
Yeah. I mean, it's silly,
it's silly
but
and but it
like,
suffices for what it is. Like you're not.
yeah,
I
like
don't
it's
think
all
it,
right.
I don't think anybody playing Cuphead's expecting like a like a Shakespearean story, but
Yeah,
it's
I didn't come into this expecting a wild, full world through
yeah.
story.
So it's definitely good. Uh, what is it?
Didn't expect Cuphead of Thrones.
Yeah, yeah.
Katana
And then the other one, what was it? Katana.
Zero.
Yeah, that
I
was
get
like
that game.
that game's good too.
I know.
So,
It
but
looks good.
yeah,
And then Shakedown Hawaii came out this week, right?
comes out tomorrow.
Comes
So
out
anyone
tomorrow.
not, yeah, that's the sequel to Retro City Rampage,
Yeah.
which was like an 8-bit Grand Theft Auto, and so now the guy is up. It's upscaled to like a 16-bit style. It takes place in Hawaii.
Yeah,
So,
that game looks really good too. I was it Destructoid that was saying it's great to have one man teams.
I think so because they're the review that I linked on the Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and they gave it an 8 out of 10, which I'm
I
like, I would expect it to be somewhere around there.
Yeah, like that's kind of. I mean, well, that's I mean, as someone who's seen, I haven't seen enough of it, but like I've seen enough that's like, oh, I want to play that game.
Mhm.
I'm excited that it's an 8, but I also know that like I'll probably go into it thinking what I think about it. I just wanted to. I'm pretty sure a lot of the teams he mentioned aren't single person developers, which is which is fine, But I just think like he didn't mention Tom Happ at all.
Yeah, which is weird because he is the sole designer of.
He did everything. He did the music. He did everything. Because in like Celeste, it was Matt Thorson. I think he had a couple of other people on his team. Lena Rain did the music. Nick Sutner, formerly of PlayStation Blogcast, had input on that game. Like he was not he was not in it by himself. Now, granted, he probably did the original version of it by himself because they're in Celeste. There's a Pico 8 version of the game that's really fucking difficult. Surprise. But I'll bet you that's a one person thing, but not like I. And then you also have to go into what does one person design mean? Is it just designing the game? Is it actually writing the narrative? Is it everything? But like that would be the only part of the review that of his particular review that I wouldn't take issue with, but I would like ask questions like, hey, maybe you need to further define this more because, and you know what, if he got it wrong, he got it wrong. Fuck, look, hello, I've probably gotten 17 things wrong today. If someone were to point it out, I'd be like, yeah, I got that wrong. My bad. I mean, I was just talking about Kickstarter. I don't know how much of that I got right or wrong. I just know my experience.
Right.
But yeah, I am excited for that game. There's fucking a lot of games coming out, man.
There's also, did you see the news of the State of Play on Thursday? 3 p.m. Pacific time. They're going to go over Medieval.
Oh God,
or Medieval. They're also going to they're going to have updates on current games, maybe, and then they're also going to show off a yet to be announced game. So the game hasn't been announced, so it'll be like a reveal. I was talking with Ed and Nerds Gone Platinum because he posted it in there, and I didn't expect an announcement like this. I expected it closer to, if not after E3, not this side of E3. So maybe there.
When was the last date of play?
May, or no. April, wasn't it March? It was March, like the beginning of March, I think, or something like that.
Okay,
March or April, maybe. I don't know 100% for sure.
Well, okay, so they're announcing this they announced this for Thursday. When did this announcement come out?
Today, the announcement
Today.
came out this morning.
You know what? I can see them doing another one around E3 time because that's June,
That's true.
right? Yeah,
That's-
they'll do another one.
Oh, yeah. So, anyways, I was like, I'd like to see some indies. I'd like to see like them take an approach to this, like they did VR last time, which was cool because we both have VR. I
Yep.
love VR, and it was nice seeing them invest. Like, hey, here's our games for VR, and like the games are freaking insane and they look awesome. So that's cool. I'd like to see like an indie game one, and then on the closer side, the end of summer towards the fall, hey, let's do like our big AAA releases. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So I think like an indie one would be cool.
Same.
I want to see what's going on with like Blasphemous, which was supposed to be that's a Kickstarter game. I wish I could have got in on, not just to be on the ground floor, not even
Yeah.
be like get any of the crazy like bonus stuff.
Mhm.
But that game looks so cool. It looks so good. Like it's going to be a really good 2D side-scrolling Dark Souls-ish type game. Like that looks. I think to me that looks like it was taken out of a Dark Souls world.
Mhm.
Maybe not like one that we've seen, but like that universe, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like not like you know, like it's definitely like maybe something that's happened on like another planet of the solar system or
Mhm.
whatever. But it's
Another timeline.
I think it's closer to Dark Souls than Salt and Sanctuary is. Not to discredit Salt and Sanctuary for being an amazing game or being a very good Dark Souls game, 2D side scrolling. It's just the look of Blasphemous strikes me a little bit better. And then Children of Morta, which is supposed to be a really cool pixel art game. And it's just like let's hear about some of these, you know, like see what's going on in their worlds. And Spelunky 2. I mentioned Spelunky 2. It'd be nice to see, hey, we get a release date on
Yeah,
that. You know?
that release date needs to happen. Although I have this weird feeling that Derek might not announce the release date through PlayStation channels first.
It'll probably be Switch, like you were saying, or
Like-
like people think just because there's.
Well,
not a lot
I
of-
have this weird because like there's a podcast I listen to called the Spelunky Show. Like, it is by Nick Sutner, Doug Wilson, Andy Nealon, and Zach Gage.
Mhm.
And I have and like all of those four individuals are friends with Derek, and I have this weird feeling that he would say like, yeah, I'm gonna give you guys the release date, you know, and because Mossmouth can do that. I mean, this game is not published by Sony. It's not, it's not published by Microsoft. It's not published anywhere. But I feel like he would do that with them because of their relationship, not for any like other reason. And plus, like, Zach Gage is a really fucking good game developer. He's done a lot of iPhone stuff, and all of his games are really, really good. So if you have a phone and you want to play good games on it, look up Zach Gage. You'll be happy with yourself.
Okay. Is it Gauge?
Gage.
Okay.
And yeah, and I feel like he would do that there, but that's just a weird guess on my part. That has nothing to do with anything I would hear. Chances are he probably would do it at State of Play because that'll cast the widest net for sure. And so we've gone on some tangents.
We have.
We have.
Which is not a problem.
Anything else with the State of Play just before we wrap that up?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
so we know that it's an unannounced title, and updates on what we already know, correct?
yeah.
Okay. What do you think the unannounced title is? Do you think it's what Blue Point's working on?
You know what? That thought did cross my mind earlier today. I was like, you know what? What's Blue Point been working on? So last
we heard they're working on something bigger than
Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the
This will be-
Colossus.
This would be their biggest remaster. Well, if it's a remaster.
Yeah,
I don't know if they stated
that's
it as a
true.
remaster. They just said it's their well.
Well, I think the indication. I think there was an indication that they're working on a
Yeah,
remaster. It's just
project
some.
they take on, and usually, and in my experience with them, they've just mainly done like support or remasters. Like
Yeah.
they've done like ports. They did the port of Titanfall to the 360.
Mhm.
They might have done some like multiplayer development stuff for the big hitters, and and then they did the Uncharted. They did Gravity Rush. They just recently did Shadow of the Colossus. So now they're working on something else, and I bet you they started it well before, not well, but like maybe 6 months to a year before Shadow was done, because they were like, okay, we just need polish on this, so let's move some of the team to the next project, so we can get that going, and leave some people can stay behind and finish Shadow, and I mean, so it's
And that
been
remaster
what-
got rave reviews. I haven't played it yet, but
yeah, but it came out, I think, 2017.
it was either last year or the year. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago.
I think it was 2017. So
And that game's all right.
yeah. So I think hearing from them would be amazing.
Mhm.
Like
Especially if it's Demon Souls.
if it's Demon Souls, that would be like the like number one. Bloodborne 2 would make me lose my mind. Demon Souls remaster would make me lose my mind, because then I'd be like, I don't have to play it on PS3. I could actually play it on PS4.
Dude.
I know you would lose your mind.
Yeah, like Demon Souls Remastered is my Bloodborne 2.
Right.
Like as far as I'm concerned, like I would
So-
give anything to play that game again. That game is so goddamn good.
But like it can't, like I would want it to be different than From Software. I feel like From Software was lazy with the Dark Souls remaster. I think they could have done a better job with performances, as far as engine performance. I think they could have done a better job with the dips in frame rates. Like it was almost like a straight port, with a little bit of refinement. It was very minimal, is what I'm trying to say. Like you're putting out a remaster, and it's like, okay, well, there could have been some more quality of life things.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they fixed fucking Blight Town. That's what they had to do.
That's true too. They fixed Blight Town. I haven't played Dark Souls on the PS3, so I don't know what Blight Town was like on there. But even
I wouldn't go back.
I didn't find it annoying at all. So, but anyways, so
Now that said, I think there are PC mods on the original version of Dark Souls that fix Blight Town even better than the PS4 version.
yeah,
But hey, we live in you and I live in the console world, and we live in a modless universe as far as we know.
well, also those mods, like you have to have the what was it, Prepare to Die edition, because like a lot of those
you can't do it on the remastered. Yeah,
remastered, although they're getting ported. But then also there's the other thing, like From Software developed the game. Sony owns the rights to it in Japan. Atlas put it out in America. I forget who put it out in
Bandai.
I think Bandai put it out in Europe.
Yeah,
So
Atlas put it out.
Yeah, they did put it out here, and Sony put it out in Japan. So you've got three different people,
Three different publishers on Demon Souls. Yeah, it's weird.
publishing rights. So it's like, who gets to pick who the developer is for that, and like what's going on. And so, I mean, it would be great if Bluepoint, it'd be great if From Software was like, we give our blessing for them to develop this, but what if it's not? What if Bluepoint's doing another type of remaster? Like, what else could that
Siphon
be?
Filter.
Now that would be.
I'm just throwing shit out there. I don't know.
I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, what could it be?
I mean, what is
So-
it? I mean, if you really want to start, if you really want to start playing that guessing game, the first thing you have to do is answer the question: what's bigger than Shadow of the Colossus? Not what games are bigger. What does that statement mean?
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that mean more important to gaming history than Shadow of the Colossus? Does that mean, does that mean a whole myriad of things? But those are questions that you and I are not equipped. We are not equipped to answer, Moose.
No.
We're just not.
No.
I mean, I believe in us. I feel like we could give it the old college try.
I think we could throw out some good speculation.
Oh yeah, we could throw out wild speculation.
We could do that, but I think we could also put out some pretty good accurate speculation. Like have an idea ballpark of what it could be, but I don't think.
I mean, I feel like you could. I would probably miss the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it could be.
I
Be a
do know that we are equipped to answer questions from folks who wrote in to ngrradiopodcast@gmail.com. What do you say we do that?
Do that.
Leading off episode 144's questions. The man, the myth, the legend, Deshaun Malone.
Sup,
What do you-
Sean?
What do you guys feel about all the reports of industry crunch lately? What's your take on this dilemma?
I think the industry needs a union.
Yep.
I think the workers of developers need to be protected.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be looked out for.
Mm-hmm.
I think the situation. I mean, and this is just look at what's happened. You can look at Telltale. Like those
Yeah.
working on those games
Ask the fuck out.
shitted on, and the higher ups just walked away with money.
Yep.
No issues whatsoever. If you look at
We fucked up. Y'all don't have jobs. Bye.
yeah, you look at EA buying up studios to make games for them, and then developers. I mean, they're making good games. I mean, Visceral, who did the Dead Space series. The problem is, they buy them up because they're a good studio. Then they try to meddle in what they're doing, and it
Mhm.
doesn't work. Oh, why? Because you are too controlling of it. Let them develop what they're doing, and the game will be fine. And then the games tank, and then they close the studios. Like Visceral was doing great, and then I think they were working on something. The last game that they did from if memory serves me correctly was Battlefield Hardlines, which was not a bad game. That game was a lot of fun. People just shat on it because it wasn't a modern militaristic shooter.
Well, there was also the point of that game came out at a weird time politically.
Well, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
also Cops and Robbers. It had like one of the greatest modes in a shooter, which was the blood money. It's basically two teams on either side. There's a huge vault of money in the middle, and you have to fight and collect money from the vault. But then not only do you have to get the money from your vault back to your hideout, you also have to protect your hideout from the enemy team that could come and take your money from you. And so it's basically just this constant struggle of trying to get and maintain your money before the timer runs out so that you can win. And I
Mhm.
thought that was awesome because you've got like half your team working on trying to collect money or stop the other team from collecting money. And then you have half your team like trying to defend, or like I'd be playing and I get to a point where like the whole enemy team is like trying to get money. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to run by them and go steal money from their vault. And I ended up doing that more times than not. And then running back, or hopping in a car and driving back to my hideout and dropping off the cash. So they've done some good stuff, and it just stinks that they got laid off, like that whole developer.
Then was Amy Hennig at Visceral? She had her own,
No, she was at her own thing under EA, as far as I know.
but then like they were working on a game and EA just shelved it, or they just canceled it and said,
Yeah,
because we can't get it out quick enough. And I'm like,
why don't you just like,
It's
wait,
like, have you not
have
you not seen how it takes forever to make a video game? Like,
the problem is that it's like the unchecked capitalism too, where you have
Mhm.
like shareholders are like, make more, make more, make more.
Yeah.
And they don't, and the shareholders don't give a shit what happens to the company. They just want more money. And the
Right.
problem is the people that are running the company, like they don't realize they're cannibalizing themselves. They're eating themselves and they're killing themselves. Like the
Mhm.
thing that they're trying to do, which is make more money for the shareholders, is what is killing them. And
Yep.
so, like EA's got Madden, they've got FIFA. Now they have Apex Legends.
Yeah.
Because Respawn. And in all honesty, I'll be honest, that is the only thing that probably say until we see the quote unquote Titanfall universe game that comes out, which is supposed to come out this fall. Although it's rumored that that game's been pushed back because Respawn has
Is working on Apex. Yeah.
work on Apex Legends, but until we see that game, the thing that saved Respawn from being canned is Apex Legends, because
Yeah.
Titanfall 2 was amazing.
But it did not sell.
It did not sell well. Now Titanfall 1 was a good starter game for them. Titanfall 2, they did a really good job. Apex Legend plays really, really well as a battle royale. I think it's the best one, period.
Yeah.
Just because it's the best way for you to communicate to team members that are not in your party chat.
Yep.
That's what I say. I think they just nailed that. And I'll bet you money over the course of like the next 6 months to a year, like Fortnite will like implement something like that, being able to talk to your, point at something and say, hey, health over here, shield over here, gun over here, like whatever, so that people could be like, oh, hey, I'm looking for a gun because I ain't got one. But
yeah.
EA just comes in and tries to make more and more money, and when the studios aren't doing it, they can them and get rid of them, and it sucks. And then and also working 80 hours, a work week is just insane. And it's not the employee, the developer's fault. It's not the employee's fault. It's the management team's fault.
Yep.
Like managing time, managing expectations. Like Rockstar did the crunch thing to the point where you almost didn't buy the game.
Yeah. Like I mean, and I still have my own internal conflict about buying that game because I'm supporting bad behavior. And
right.
I mean, we've also jokingly said don't buy the 3DS because you're just supporting Nintendo, not supporting the Switch. Like,
I mean, but then
it's not the same thing, but like you're supporting bad behavior. Like
then there's like the other side of the coin where like you look at other developers like Tom Happ, we mentioned him, Axiom Version. It's like he probably has to work 60 to 70 hours because he's one dude making his next game. And that's like his only, like that's his job,
Well, and it wasn't his job for a long time. He had to come. I mean, I think if I remember an interview he did a while back, I don't remember where, but he like had to come to that point where he's like, I have to quit my job to finish this game. So he made sure and just saved up a ton of money or as much as he could feasibly to like finish the game. And I think that game took him 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at what that game is, and look how long. Then you look at like something like Anthem that took 7 years. Like those are drastically different looking games. So there's your gap in terms of like one person versus a team of however many. I'm gonna jump in here if you don't mind, Moose.
No, that's fine. I was kind of done saying what I was saying.
Now, as someone who comes from industries, I've worked in industries that are kind of dying. Like I worked in print media for a bit, and it was really interesting. Being on the inside of that, watching it grapple with digital becoming the big threat that it is now. We had to work a lot of hours to maintain the illusion of instant, so people would try and keep our services. Now, you take that and you look at Fortnite and look at what's going on at Epic right now. There's a reason that Fortnite has had so many content updates. And it's now coming to, I mean, and granted, I was like, man, Fortnite's, even the entire time, I was like, Fortnite is updating fucking fast.
Yeah.
And to the point where I'm just like, wow, that's impressive. But I never thought about what that impressiveness meant until like these stories started coming out.
Yeah, what the cost was.
Yeah, like just like, they are killing folks.
Whatchamacallit, Riot Games, the developers of the employees at Riot Games who does League of Legends, they staged the first walkout in video games.
Yeah, but see there's a ton of problematic shit going on at Riot. They had that executive who's basically an inappropriate sexual harassment nightmare that they suspended him for his behavior, but that motherfucker's still drawing a paycheck. How can someone work there and feel like okay with their job? Mm-hmm. On top of that, they're also like, they don't settle, like they want to settle disputes or problems with the company through independent arbitrators. Now, having been in this situation before, what they'll do is they'll get like a handful of people that might or might not have a problem in a room with management. Let me tell you this, Moose. If you had a problem with me, and I was your manager, now I know man to man, if you had a problem with me, you'd be like, dude, you're fucking up. But like, and I was your manager and we were at an employer relationship, and I get you and 4 other people that you don't know whether or not they have the same problem across the table from me. How does that make you feel? Make you feel empowered to say something to me?
No.
Exactly. What does it make you feel like? It makes you feel like, oh, if I say something, I'm a fucking target. I'm an easy target because there's only 5 people here. Mm-hmm. And like, Riot is doing shit that like Facebook has said they are actually actively not going to do because it's kind of shitty. Yeah. like, come on. And now that particular thing doesn't have anything to do with crunch, but problematic job practices are definitely an issue in video games, as they were in all of society 100 years ago. And there's a reason like labor unions came about. We've, since the 80s, there's been a culture of like unions are bad creeping into the American landscape. And while personally, I've both been in unions and not in unions, and I see pros and cons on both sides. Mm-hmm. But I would much rather be a part of a union that was protecting my benefit mm-hmm. than being at the hands of management or employers that are looking at their bottom line.
Yeah.
And crunch, I know Jason Marshall on Nerds Gone Platinum said that crunch is in all industries. I don't think that's an incorrect statement, but all industries, like that's basically saying that, well, it's in all industries and we all deal with it the same way. I think at some point, most jobs don't allow overtime. So if you're over, they just want you to get GTFO anyway, so they don't have to pay you more. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the video game industry, they're kind of exploited. Like, I think I don't remember what company it is that was working with independent contractors. And if they didn't just keep working, they can cancel the contract.
Yeah.
So no money, no benefits, nothing. I mean, it's essentially what Telltale did. So I think it's a shitty dilemma for developers to be in, and I want it to be changed. I like if I had money to donate, I would donate to Game Workers Unite. I want those guys to get off the ground because those are all game workers who are interested in taking appropriate measures to unionization rather than just being completely drastic. I think that I think Game Workers Unite has a measuredness about them that they'll do it the right way. Very much like, I mean, in video games have no problem saying that they are, more, they make more money than movies. Well, okay, if we're going to do the Hollywood comparisons, let's look at how Screen Actors Guild and Directors Guilds and all those organizations that work to protect the workers in movies from being treated like shit. Epic was doing its thing too, where to the point where they're exploiting people, but they're also paying people for the exploitation, which great, you're getting paid extra for it, but also there's only so long in a workday you're effective.
Well, and there's also a timeline of how long you can go at a certain overtime overage before you just become useless.
Yeah.
And not only that, not just useless, but you become
a problem
because you're messing up, you're missing things, and then not only you're not doing the work you need to do, you're creating new problems that someone has to go back and solve. So it gets to the point where it's like, okay, well, okay, so you're going to have crunch time. Okay, well, you need to hire more employees. It needs to be a bigger base there. There needs to be a bigger base. Like, you're trying to get your game out the door to develop. Okay, so your team needs to increase a certain size. So yeah, maybe there's overtime, but it's not like 80 hours a week. It might be like,
you don't have to put a pillow underneath your desk and sleep.
Might be like 50, whatever. You might be working like 10, 12-hour days at the most for a short period of time. Because when you look at it and you're like, okay, we want to hit this type of window to get our game out, and it's like, okay, let's just dig in, do the work, and get it done. You can somewhat kind of believe in that crunch time, you know what I mean? Because you want to do the best you can do, try and get it done, get it going. Because we've all handled crunch times where we're doing chores throughout the day, and you're like, okay, well, I gotta get all this done or the rest of this done before I'm done for the day. So you put a little more work effort into it, and you want to get it done. You can relax and reap the benefits of finished. But there's a difference between doing that and then, like we were saying, being exploited.
Yeah.
There's a point where you have to be like, this is not good for our employees, because again, this is the whole, we have to make money for the shareholders. And also it could be just the upper management who might be reaping the benefits of getting the extra money from the shareholders or making the money for the shareholders. They might get bonuses for that. So they're just after making more money for themselves. They don't care about the longevity of their studios. They just want to get out there. And I say a majority of them, not all of them. Okay. So it's, and it might not even be a majority. It's just the squeeze.
There's enough out there.
This is an issue. I mean, you look at like Activision had crunch time. They sit there and they say we had the best year ever, and then they turn around and lay off, what was it, like 200 employees?
They lay off like 9% of their workforce, which is like 9,000 people.
I don't think, no, that's too large. That's too large a number. It wasn't 9,000. I thought it was 200. We got the Googles.
Yeah, go ahead, keep talking.
So, like, you have Activision saying we have the best year ever, and then they turn around and like lay off, how many people, and it's like, okay, well, that math doesn't work out. Where's that money going? You know what I mean? Like, why do those people have to lose their job? It
was 800 people. I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought it was around 800, 900 people. I was like 9,000. That would have been way bigger news. That would
Yeah, that would have been a cultural shift. That's what that would
that
have
would have
been.
been someone on CNN like Money or whatever. Like
Jim Cramer with his weird buttons going, "What the hell?"
yeah, but it gets to the point where you're just like, what? How long is it going to be before these AAA studios collapse? How long is EA going to keep doing what they're doing before they collapse?
Mhm.
You know, and then they go and EA like implements microtransactions in a very dirty way to make more money
Mhm.
off of the first Star Wars Battlefront game. Or no, it was the second one. Second one. And now when they talk about whatever the new Star Wars standalone game is, they're like, and no microtransactions. Like they found a solution to the problem in the industry. Is like, motherfuckers, you created the problem. You're the ones that put them in there.
Mhm.
And now you're trying to turn around and say, oh, we're great. Our game doesn't have microtransactions. And it's like, you did it. Like, you're the ones that created the problem. So, like, don't try and act like you solved it. You just took it away, you know? And it's like...
It took you forever to walk this back.
Right. Exactly. It took you this long. So, what, 2 years?
Yeah.
Because it was Battlefront 2, then the next year came Battlefront 5.
Battlefield 5.
Or Battlefield 5, which is a goddamn nightmare in of its own. And in that one, they had to be like, oh, all season 1 DLC is free, which just means that eventually we're gonna.
That's what you're gonna have to pay later.
Exactly. Just kind of like, never mind. All right, let's
look. I think the Dave Lang, who is I think he's the founder and owner of Iron Galaxy. He said it on Twitter best. He's like, hey, the first thing you could do if you don't want to run your employees into the ground, you could choose not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I like that Respawn has come out. I mean, they came out in light of the Epic thing going, hey, we're not running our employees into the ground. We're trying to maintain, a good working environment and whatever. They're also trying to maintain normal hours. But like Dave Lang on Twitter, he said, yeah, you could choose not to do it. And I agree with him. Like, that's a choice that was made.
Yeah.
And it was a choice that the people who made it had no recourse coming near them. So they felt that there was no problem.
It's all about, you get a bonus. If your studio puts out a game within fiscal year, you get this type of bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's that decision that executive has to make to be like, well, do I want the bonus or do I want the game to be delayed? They're always 9 times out of 10 going to pick the bonus, because what happens is, as the video game industry got bigger and bigger, the vultures moved in.
Yep.
And all the executives sitting there, a bunch of the executives, I say all as in like it's every last one of them. There's some good ones out there. So I don't want it to be all inclusive, but the majority of the people out there that have become, it's like any other corporation in America.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that person's after is money. They don't give a crap about the employees. They don't care about the customer. They just want to make that money. And but anyways.
Yes, and that is an unfortunate, sad reality of capitalism.
So unions,
unions for the game industry are good.
Yep.
I would much rather wait for a game to come out, and knowing that everybody in it is A, fairly compensated, B, not forced to abandon their lives to work on a game, and C, they don't have to sacrifice their sanity for it. And the last analogy I'll make to my life is, when I got out of X-ray school, I didn't walk into full-time employment. I had to find PRN gigs. PRN gigs are, you work at a facility as needed. So I had, at one point in the 5 years since I've been an X-ray tech, I had 5 jobs. 5. You know how, and that was because I had to basically, everyone would schedule me for 8-hour chunks. So there would be full weeks where I would work 16 hours for 5 days straight, and then I couldn't take weekend hours because I was just fucking dead. I'm like, I don't have energy anymore. Certain jobs would get mad at me for not coming in or not taking an extra shift because I'm like, and I would just say, look, I'm only PRN here. Here's what I've got in my other gigs. Like, this is why I can't take this. And they're like, okay, understood, fine. But you know, if they're understanding once, you kind of have to be a little, you kind of put them as a priority in your choices the next time around. And I was able to maneuver that for a while. But that could only go for so long. Eventually I got, you know, part-time and then full-time gigs. And I'm now at a full-time gig at a place I like that treats me well. And I only have one job, but I've had to work to get this. And I know that hustle, and that hustle is very real. Imagine people that are not in a healthcare situation or fresh out of school in healthcare, having to, you know, that's their life. And that's horrifying. Like, and I mean, just thinking about, you know, life events while people are making games, like Red Dead took how long to make? We'll ballpark it at 5 years. Why not? And if they had to work all that overtime, and one of them had a child, and they couldn't be home with their child. Sure, they were probably at the delivery. I hope to God they were at the delivery, but like, they couldn't be there to help their partner with the child. Or heaven forbid, it's a female who had a child. Did she get maternity leave?
Yeah.
Like, was she able to, you know, be a mom or figure out how to be a mom if it was her first child? You know, there's a lot of things you have to consider that could happen. I mean, and I've been in an office where the CEO walked into an office full of 3 females and said, "Don't any of you get pregnant. We're going to be busy for the next while."
Yeah.
Like, that's like, no, that's, yeah. Whoa, you have no boundaries here. Like, fuck that guy. So glad I don't work for him anymore. But we're going to do this next question from Ashley Davidson. We had a third one from Sean Nichols, but we're going too long. Sean Nichols, you will be answered on 145. I apologize. We won't be able to get to it this time, but I want to answer Ashley Davidson's question because this is a Matt type of question. I love talking about this sort of thing. Ashley Davidson asks, the world seems mad that NetherRealm put Ronda Rousey in Mortal Kombat 11. Does someone with opposing opinions than you affect your decision to buy a game? How does this affect your buying habits? Ashley, thank you for writing this question in. I'm not sure this is a situation of opposing opinions. Because, okay, the backstory is Ronda Rousey has made some problematic statements on Twitter in the past. She's made some transphobic statements and some Sandy Hook truther statements. These can be her opinions, and these opinions are vastly different than mine. But I feel like the transphobia thing is, I feel like it's similar to racism. And this is just my thoughts on the subject, because now racism. This is a racism that doesn't necessarily deal with skin tone or ethnicity. It's definitely identity based. And the comments that Rousey has made are shitty. They are 100% USDA approved dog shit, in my opinion. Does them putting Ronda Rousey in Mortal Kombat 11 make me not want to buy Mortal Kombat 11? Not really. because I wasn't going to buy it. I wasn't going to buy it already. However, it comes back to supporting bad behavior. Like, I respect what NetherRealm has done over the course of their existence, especially with Mortal Kombat, especially with the rebooted trilogy, and I think they're doing really good things. I think they made a poor choice, not only because it's come out that her acting is actually shitty, but you would think if you wanted someone to represent Sonya Blade, who in the 90s was kind of a rarity in herself, a female in a fighting game, that wasn't all that prevalent. I mean, sure, Street Fighter had Chun-Li. No one's arguing that, but like, that's one female in however many dudes. Same with Sonya, one female in however many dudes. And like, the person you pick to put in that role is someone who believes the parents of Sandy Hook kids are lying and that the shooting never took place, and that people who don't identify with the parts that people that don't identify according to their biology are wrong or incorrect. Like, that's not cool. Now, I don't feel like this isn't just a difference of opinion. This is kind of like, okay, this isn't just a difference of opinion. Like, if it was, NetherRealm are all conservative and they might have problems with Trump, but they're still conservative, I don't have a problem with that. I can have a conversation with that. I can, as long as they're not out there espousing alt-right, beliefs, we can grapple with that. This is hate and misinformation, and I disagree with that wholeheartedly. And if I found out that anybody that I cared about was like that, wouldn't really do that anymore. I mean, I have a personal connection to Michael Jackson's music because it's been around me all my life. It is really hard to listen to him now. And and I always had my thoughts on the allegations. I thought they were probably true. I thought he was probably a creepazoid about it, having watched that documentary and see just how methodical he was. Like, this wasn't just someone who was confused. He had a plan. And not only did he have a plan, he had a method for multiple child partners at the same time. Like, that's not confusion. That is coordination. And there's a difference between the two. Just like, I don't feel like this is just a difference of opinion. This is hate. And the Sandy Hook thing is fucking misinformation, and anybody who gets on the Alex Jones train, as far as I'm concerned, can be away from me. Moose, your thoughts?
I don't know. I agree with you. I wasn't gonna buy Mortal Kombat because I wasn't buy Mortal Kombat.
Right.
I think people are entitled to their opinion. We are entitled to call them out on their bullshit.
Yep.
I feel that's a valid stance. Or just because someone believes in something doesn't mean we have to listen to them, or take it as as fact,
Yep.
I don't know. I was unaware of her. I didn't even know what the whole issue was as far as her comments.
I don't remember her exact transphobic comments. I've heard them in the past couple weeks recently, but I don't remember what they actually are. So I'm not going to try and go after them and find them.
Right.
But, like,
I mean, See, it's a tough call
It is.
because you're like, like you said, you've got NetherRealm who's done a great job making games. Kind of curious as to see what like their work environment in relation.
There's been some shit that came out recently. There's been some shit that's come out
So
recently.
there's that.
But like, I don't know how legit it is, so I don't want to talk about it.
So I mean, and you want to like they could have used, was it Holly Holmes?
Yeah,
Not the one that like beat the shit out of Roundy.
yeah.
Yeah, so she like
They
pretty much ended, I think, her MMA career. So because she like lost to her twice, I think, or something. But
Yeah.
anyway, they
I mean,
had,
yeah, Holly Holmes is the reason she's in the WWE now, right?
yeah, I believe so
I
because
mean, they could have used that other lady that beat her in in WrestleMania recently. Like they could have used her.
so it's just like what made them pick her, or from their perspective, is it something where it's like this is so ludicrous? You know what I mean? Like it has nothing to like it has nothing to do with us in a video game. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like our political views exist outside of what is being done to create a video game. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you need people with opposing opinions in your life just because it's like, okay, well, you can have a discussion about it. Like you were saying, like if they were like, we're conservative Republicans, but we don't support Trump, you know what I mean? Like, okay, can still have like I have no problem having conversations with people who have opposing opinions of mine. I kind of sometimes do it on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the issue is it's the people who are like volatile about it. So like if you can't come to an agreement, it instantly turns venomous and poisonous. It's not like a healthy discussion is what becomes a problem. But we're kind of moving off topic.
No, I think we're still on it. I think we're actually still on it.
I think like for what she has said and what I've just heard tonight, like I don't know if that would deter me from buying that game. Like if it was a game that I was a huge fan of, like a series, like say the Borderlands series. If this was in the Borderlands series, it'd be like, well,
let's talk about Randy Pitch. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, it's like, well, what about the people that are making the game that don't make that decision?
Yeah.
So there's like many layers to that onion where it's like, okay, I don't agree with her statements. So, but it's like, do the developers who have been working on the game for so long, because she could have been a character that they just added, like a year before the game was supposed to be done, and a lot of the work was done in the last year, and those developers worked like 4 or 5 years on their game, and it's like, well, what the hell? It's like who made the decision there to like bring her on, and it's like, what is the reasoning? So it's like you almost can't make the decision until you hear both sides of the story. Like, okay, she's in the game, it's controversial, I don't agree with her statements and stuff. Well, why did they bring her on? Why was she chosen as the actress to be in it? And then I agree with you, like, besides the fact that from what we've heard, her acting is shitty, like, what was the deciding factor that was like, we're going to put her in the game? Not, like, I don't know.
And I also don't know the timeline of her making the comments to her getting a job.
Yeah, she could have had the job and been in the game, and they could not have done anything about it because there was a contract involved.
I mean, I know it was done a few years ago, but I don't know how long it took them. Then there's enough I don't know for me to say, like, look, I think this sucks. Yes, I think Ronda Rousey getting this job sucks. Are there better people? Well, obviously, there are better people because like there are people without that opinion that could have gotten those jobs. And then based on people who have played the game, like her acting sucks. So there are definitely better actors that could have gotten the job.
Especially if you're just voicing it. I don't know. Did they use her likeness? That's the other thing.
That I don't know.
See, the other thing I don't even know about the game is like, was her likeness used, or was it just her voice? So then at that point, you got to be like,
if it's just her voice, like, all right, I'm glad that more of my money is going to other people than her.
right, yeah, because also like people had to like graphically draw her and create her and write code for like the actual look of the character instead of her just acting like in a movie. It was just her voice. So there's a whole lot of aspects there, but like it's hard to think of like other examples right now as far as like what I mean. I guess Activision, opposing opinion. Do I believe in microtransactions? No. They put microtransactions in their game.
I mean, the opposing opinion for Activision for you, Moose, is Warframe, which does Activision without being Activision.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But like,
I don't know.
I mean, personally, like, I like opposing opinions. Like when, like this weekend, you, Phillips, and I were talking about Eric Clapton. Mm-hmm. And like, I was so hoping that that discussion would go on longer than it did, because like, I like it when all three of us disagree on something and like, but can talk about it. Like, that's one of my favorite things in the world.
Yeah.
I would much rather talk with someone, like I would much rather have a chance to talk with someone that I disagree with, that I can, because chances are you can learn something from who you disagree with. Now
that's that thing. Yeah.
That said, there are also people I disagree with that are just fucking trolls.
Mm-hmm.
Like I see a lot of people in my sphere, in my social media sphere, they bring up Ben Shapiro. And Ben Shapiro is a prick as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to say he's not smart, because he calculates his words somewhat creatively to the point where but like there are also times where he openly contradicts himself too. But I think he goes after like a trans issue or an identity politics issue to the point where he's like, well, I'm just going to troll them and then speak really, really fast so it looks like I'm intelligent. And he does this a lot. And with regard to his stance, yeah, he is kind of a white supremacist. Yeah, he is kind of full of hate because he espouses issues on that. Would I want to talk with him? No, because that person isn't looking to forward the conversation so much as forward his agenda. And I think if you're going to talk opposing opinions, that's how you have to look at it. Is this person just bringing their agenda, or are they bringing a conversation? And like, I would much rather have conversations with differing opinions because they're interesting. I mean, as long as you can you also kind of have to make the agreement that, hey, we're not going to let this devolve into fucking chaos. It's a fucking tightrope, Moose.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Does it? But I will say it does kind of affect my buying habits to a point. And I'll bring up one game that I was never going to buy. And one game that I genuinely considered buying until there was some historical opinionated inaccuracies. The one I was never going to buy was a game called Agony. I think it came out late last year, and I saw it on Kickstarter, and I looked at backing, but I didn't think the initial video for it looked good. So I'm just like, yeah. They're talking about some combat that seems interesting, and then apparently none of that panned out. But Agony is is a game that if you I mean, I've looked at reviews, I've looked at gameplay, and it looks like it is clearly made by people who are misogynist. And I say misogynist in not as like, oh well, he's just exerting his dominance over women. And like they believe, like the people who made this believe women are inferior. They believe women are a problem. They believe women need to be kept down. And that is a viewpoint I completely disagree with. And so, yeah, I was never going to buy that game, and I'm glad I never will, because I'm not going to give money to people that believe that. The other game I was genuinely considering buying was Kingdom Come Deliverance. That game is a cool idea, historically accurate, first person, medieval role-playing game that is, no magic. Everything is based in reality. That is a cool idea that has not really been explored in the video game space. And then the developer started talking. And when it came to like, hey, how come there are no different people in your game? It becomes, well, there weren't different people around. And that's factually inaccurate. Like, you're going for historical accuracy here. These people were here in these roles. There is record of it, and you are ignoring it. And then it's like, well, I still get to be an artist. I can ignore what I want. Well, that's not your pitch. And, then it becomes, okay, this becomes your thought. And that is the inherent problem with art. Because what do you want to come through? Your art or your message? Things aren't made in a vacuum anymore. They're just not. And that is something that a lot of people have a problem grappling with. I mean, like, sure, there are like, I could step into so many minds talking about this subject, and it becomes a real problem. And I realize my own inadequacies as a communicator, and I've probably blown myself up on a couple of minds tonight. If I did, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. But like, art and politics, unfortunately, go hand in hand. And if you want to dismiss the politics in one thing, what'll stop you from dismissing the politics in life? And if your stance is like, well, I don't care about politics, that's totally valid. But there was I don't remember if it was, I think it was a French philosopher a few hundred years ago that said, it doesn't necessarily, well, it might have been more recent, like within the past 120 years, I don't know. But it said, it doesn't matter, or like, you might not have an interest in politics, but that's not going to stop politics from having an interest in you.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes through complete inaction, you can be weirdly effective for the wrong reasons. But I have to go because it is almost 11. So, Ashley, I hope we answered your question in a way that you're happy with. Same to you, Deshaun. Yeah, I think that's been a show. What do you think, Moose?
I think it's been a show.
Do you have anything else to add to that conversation?
No, I'm good.
Are you scared?
No.
Did I piss you off?
No.
Okay, good. If I did, I hope you would tell me.
Believe it.
Okay, good. Glad that's off my mind. So yeah, if you want to write in and have us answer your questions, ngradiopodcast@gmail.com. This has been episode 144 of Nerds Gone Rogue. As I said before, Sean Nichols, we will answer your email next week. You can find me at infinite_rewind on every social media platform imaginable, including PSN. Hey, let's play games together. Let's go through the Dark Zone and the Division. I'm doing it. Check out our website, nerdsgonerogue.com. You can find our other hosts, Corey. You can find him at Corey in HD 713 on Twitter, Corey in HD everywhere else. On PSN, you can find him at Rogue Spartan number 4. And Matt Phillips, you can't find anywhere but here or on Steam. And I don't remember what his Steam name is, so I'm not going to give it. I'll let him give it. Moose, where do we find you?
You can find me at Sven, SVHENN, on PSN, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. I do stream occasionally. I'm going to try and stream this weekend since the wife's camping, so that'll be fun. We'll see what's going on. Maybe I'll do some Days Gone, for anyone who wants to see a little bit of that. But
it'll be Saturday, 11 a.m. You'll be shirtless in boxers, and there will be 15 pizza boxes. There'll be 15 pizza boxes stood up next to you. Be like, oh, this went to shit quickly.
Can't be shirtless on Twitch, buddy. That's actually pretty funny. Anyways, you can also listen to me, Jason, and Jeff discuss the PlayStation platform. We usually go live Tuesday nights on YouTube, or you can listen to the podcast or watch the podcast. It goes live on Thursdays at 7 a.m. You can tweet us at ng_platinum. And you can also email us questions and comments or concerns at nerdsgoneplatinum@gmail.com. We are also doing a giveaway for Darkest Dungeon Special Edition physical PlayStation 4.
I am quitting this show to try and win it, let me tell you.
Check out the Twitter page. Our Twitter, it's the pinned tweet. So I think the only pinned tweet we have right now. I think you can only pin one.
You can only have one, yeah.
Yeah, so it is our pinned tweet. It's through Gleam. So the more things you do, the more chances you have of winning. So check it out. Have a good time with that. If you don't win, we've got more giveaways up our sleeves.
I'll bet you do. I've heard that about you guys.
Yeah.
You guys got long sleeves. Lots of stuff in there.
Anyways.
Yeah, so that's it for episode 144. Thank you for stopping by. Until next time, we love you. Banana and out.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Oh, I hit the wrong button.